Yes, fellow Nigerians are great to know plenty. Yeah. I look. This is the Comrade Show, and my name is Comrade Lamti Orehi. I am glad to welcome you to this broadcast. If you are joining me, please, I want to appeal to you. Please help share this broadcast if you are joining us. I have always said in my broadcast, and I've always maintained that I am yet to see, something tangible that anybody, whether the candidates on the field for 2023 elections or Nigerians who are supporting various candidates, I'm yet to see, that criticism, that we can verify to be true, that will make me change my mind on, Peter Obi. And I've said, bring it on. And the ones who can defend will defend it. You understand what I'm saying now? And each time the other candidates or their supporters speak, they give me reasons to keep doubling my efforts in my support and commitment to the Obi movement. I am making this broadcast, because I listened, to Atiku Abubakar, when he was interviewed, by Arise TV. I had cause to watch that interview again, to listen to some aspects of that interview. And I am again, convinced beyond every reasonable doubt that Nigerians cannot afford to make a mistake with somebody like Atiku Abubakar. I mean, not just because of what we already know about him, but because of some of what he said, in the interview. And I like to make this, if Nigerians are unconscious of this, I like to, open our consciousness a bit concerning some of these. Nigeria is a country, unexpectedly, you want to point to the contributions that the leaders of this country, they've made towards advancing the growth of the nation, as it were. Atiku served as vice president to Obasanjo for 8 years. And after Atiku left, we had another northerner whose time was short-lived. And that's talking of Yaradua. Unfortunately, he died. I believed Yaradua would have done well. And yet again, we are having currently another northerner, Muhammadu Buhari, okay, who is by around this time next year would have rounded off his 8 years in office. And yet in this interview, when a question was posed to Atiku Abubakar, particularly looking at the surge of support that Peter Obi is gaining, and his response, amongst every other thing, was that Peter Obi has support on social media, and that does not translate into support on the ground. We've heard that over again, but that's not actually the thing. But what struck me, that is making me actually make this broadcast, is that he said that 90% of Nigerians in the north have no access to social media, and therefore Peter Obi cannot win. He had said a few other things. Labour doesn't have any governor. Labour doesn't have a councillor, doesn't have this. Labour doesn't have structure, as they've always maintained. But what struck me really deeply is his confession to saying that 90% of Nigerians in the north don't have access to social media. I don't know if you guys would hear this particular aspect of it. I'd like to play it if it's possible.
We are talking about social media. In the north, 90% of our people are not trained to social media.
That's Atiku Abubakar talking. 90% of Nigerians in the north. To be honest, why he thinks that he's scoring political points or he's trying to encourage himself and his own political party, I think what Atiku has just done is not just to indict himself, to let Nigerians know that he is a failure, but to equally indict every Nigerian leader that has led Nigeria as president, particularly since 1999, most especially the Nigerian leaders that have led Nigeria from, from the north, the leaders from the north, the Hausas and the Fulanis that have led this country since 1999, in every capacity they have led, whether as president or as National Assembly members or as governors, Atiku is just telling us that they are all failures. I mean, this is what this translates to. Because in this time and age, for a leader to stand, to tell the world that 90% of his own people have no access to social media, and that is where his own strength lies. Because the support that his opponent is getting majorly is from social media. So he is very happy that 90% of his own people are not tuned to social media because they have no access to social media. I think that is an indictment that we cannot overlook. It's a failure on the part of Atiku. It's a failure on the part of Muhammadu Buhari. It's a failure on the part of the current Senate president. And it's a failure, a huge one, on the part of all the governors of the northern region. That is what Atiku is telling us. Because even those in the south, we are making the case that, the leadership of Nigeria, particularly in the southern divide, they are not helping the people. They are all just about themselves and corrupt. Because in this time and age, Nigeria is not, we are not in the Nigeria 50 years ago. Everybody is advancing with the time. And that is what I've always said and I've always maintained, that we need a kind of leadership that will not just be prepared, but a leadership that will be compatible with the time that we are in right now. And this is exactly what Peter Obi represents. Now, on the issue of, he did mention Osun State as a yardstick. He mentioned Ekiti State as a yardstick to measure 2023 elections. And I think that is where they are going to shoot themselves in the foot. The truth of the matter is that in fact, if I was using my desktop right now, I probably would have been, be posting this as well. I know a number of people in Osun State who voted, Adeleke, okay, but they are unflinching in their commitment to vote, Peter Obi for the presidential elections. Now, the reason is quite obvious. Nigerian youths they have woken up to the fact that it is not a question of political party right now that matters. What matters is, the individual right on the ticket, not the political party itself. And so, to counter even the case where you mentioned the Osun State and of course Ekiti State, I mean, we are not surprised. What the result that came out of Osun State was not a big surprise to very many of us, and that of Ekiti State as well. And again, to let you Nigerians know that Nigerians are now looking at the individuals on the ticket and not a political party. Ekiti State was won by the APC, and Osun State was won by the PDP. You understand? The same way, the 2023 election is going to be won by Labour Party. You understand, Peter Obi? So let's not be bamboozled at all, with all of these, rhetorics they are making. I'm making this broadcast because, when I listened to the interview of Atiku, it spoke much about privatization. As a matter of fact, most of what I came to understand, his own agenda and idea and reasons behind running for president, consistently and persistently, is because of the issue of privatization. And of course, the history of privatization, as far as Nigeria is concerned, is not one that we can forget in a hurry. Atiku, under Obasanjo as vice president, was the head of the economic team. He was in charge of privatization. And what came out of it was that everything that was to be privatized was privatized privately, okay, and owned by Atiku and his friends. And today, the heat of all of that, you understand what I'm saying? Now we are already experiencing all of it. You understand what I'm saying? Now that these things were not genuinely distributed to people who bidded for them sometimes to be able to provide proper service, competitive service in a way that will beat down price and cost and every other thing for Nigerians. And so what they have done is to monopolize it, share the things among themselves. And so this man is coming out, he made several claims that he's going to privatize everything as far as Nigeria is concerned. Everything. As a matter of everything mentioned, Atiku is talking about privatization. Everything mentioned is talking about privatization. Privatizing and breaking this thing down, he's talking about the downstream sector and all. When we know that the experience we've had with downstream sector, privatization and everything under Atiku's watch was that all of the things, that were to be privatized, they were all bought, by their own, private interest. And so the only reason that we can see that Atiku is running to become president right now is to whet his own appetite and of course fulfill his own lifelong ambition of ensuring that he inherits the collective patrimony of the Nigerian state, to himself and of course to his friends and all of that. So none of these guys, including Atiku, speaks the language that Nigerians want to hear today concerning 2023 and beyond. None of them. None of them. We have issues under Obasanjo, under Atiku Abubakar, in their government. Trillions of naira was spent to give stable electricity to Nigerians. Trillions. It all went down the drain. Went down the drain. Several trillions were equally spent to stabilize NAPC. Today, Atiku is talking about privatizing NAPC. To ensure that, all the refineries that we have in Nigeria, they are working. Under Atiku Abubakar, all of these monies went down the drain. No result came out. If you could not do it under your watch, when you were vice president for 8 years, how do you expect Nigerians now, Mr. Atiku, to trust you to do it when you are president? When even your own principal, Obasanjo, confessed to the world that God will not forgive him based on what he knows about Atiku to recommend Atiku to become president of Nigeria. I think Nigerians must not bypass this. We must not, pay deaf ears to this. His own principal, his own president, that of Obasanjo, that he worked with, told the world, even wrote it in a book, that Atiku is a thief. That Atiku's own business is to come and take over what belongs to Nigeria and make it personal. I mean, we have seen this. I thought that in that interview, he was going to speak, differently. But people change. You understand what I'm saying now? But the same language, the same rhetorics, that we know Atiku for 8 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, they are still the same old rhetorics. There is nothing new on the table. As a matter of fact, when he was speaking, I kind of, imagine that between the time Atiku was vice president and now, Atiku has not learned anything new. He has not added any new knowledge. It's still the same old brain. And that's exactly what they have been using to defraud this country. They stigmatize this country, they label this country, they label the different demographics in this country, in a way, that will suit their purpose. You are coming out on national television, a national leader, a one-time vice president, one who is regarded as godfathers of many governors in the north, one who is regarded as a godfather of many, politicians right now holding political positions across Nigeria. And you are coming us to tell us that, what's his name, and the popularity of Peter Obi is on social media. It cannot translate into results on the ground. Because 90% of Nigerians in the north, they are not tuned to social media. They have no access to social media. So the strength of Atiku Abubakar is that we have nearly the whole Northerners. When you say 90%, we're talking of nearly the whole Northerners not having access to social media. In this day and age, for any leader to even say that, it's an indictment, it's a shame, it's a huge, embarrassment and it's a disgrace. Not just on that particular leader, but of course on all the leaders of his own extraction that have led this country. And we are tired of such. I can tell you, Mr. Atiku, that more than 90% of Nigerians in the South have access to social media. Many of them may not own smart telephones, but they all have access. If they don't, they have their brothers or their sisters or their uncles or their aunties that have. My own aged mother doesn't use smartphone, but she knows exactly what is happening with smartphone because I've got nephews and nieces that use smartphones that equally go to EA every now and again to say, EA, this is what is happening. EA will look at their smartphone to know what is happening. That's what I'm talking about. My own aged mother. My own aged mother uses WhatsApp video call to talk to me. She's not of this era, but she's got access to social media. And that applies to very many families in the South. And we can boldly say that more than 80 to 90% of Nigerians in the South, directly and indirectly have access to social media, and they access social media. Because right now, this is the age that we are in. And the world is compliant with this age. The world is moving towards this direction. And so when you stand as a leader who has been in the corridors of power for only God knows how long, and you start to tell Nigerians today, boldly and proudly, that the people of your own extraction, 90% of them, they don't have access to social media, they don't use social media, it is a failure on your part, Mr. Aspiring President, candidate of the People's Democratic Party, and you should have no business being on this field contesting this election. Please, if you are there, share this broadcast. This is very important because the Benin says, if you don't tell a spoiler that he is spoiling, he will tell you that he is fixing. That is the case of Atiku right now. Atiku is a spoiler. Atiku is one of those that can be credited to have spoiled this nation. How can you stand in an interview, a global interview, to tell the world that 90% of Nigerians in the North don't have access to social media? I am not doubting you. You may be very right. And if that is your strength, I'm saying that you have failed. You have failed not just yourself, you have failed the Northerners. You have failed the Northern people. And I will be very embarrassed if the intellectuals, the young intellectuals in the North will not pick on this. And let themselves know that this is not the kind of person we want right now to become president of Nigeria. We want a president who will see Nigeria, as a demography, okay, an entity that should grow together, whether from the North, of the South, of the West, of the East. The growth should be steady and together. Everybody must grow together. It is a part of the shame, part of the tragedy of this nation that we are still speaking to. Today, it's estimated that nearly 18 million Nigerians are either out of school or have never been to school before. And inside the nearly 18 million that we're talking about right now, they're already estimating that, probably nearly 14 million of them are in the North. That is a huge embarrassment, particularly considering how many of the Northerners have been in the corridors of power in the presidency over the years. So if the dividends of governance does not translate to the North as it ought to be, then the likes of Atiku Abubakar should not be on this field. And Nigerians must wake up to these realities, that these guys have nothing to offer. If 90% of the Northerners in Nigeria today do not have access to social media, it means that actually 8 years ago, about the same number or more had no access to social media. And believe me, if you give the chance to Atiku is going to come up again 4 years time and 8 years time and tell the world that 85% of Northerners do not have access to social media. We don't want a repeat of that. This is the reason why every Nigerian must support Obi and Dati Yusuf to become the next president and vice president of Nigeria. The reason is very simple. Because we want a leader that will come and address Nigerians in 4 years' time to say 4 years ago, 90% of Nigerians in the north didn't have access to social media. 4 years later, we can report that over 50% of Nigerians in the north now have access to social media. That is the kind of progressive leadership we want to have. To say that 8 years from now, that over 90% of Nigerians in the north will now have access to social media. Not a leader who will tell us, having been vice president for yourself for 8 years, you have your brothers that have led as Senate presidents. You have your brother that is leading right now as president of Nigeria for 8 years running. We're going to complete 8 years right now. You have your brothers as governors, your political sons and political nephews and political nieces as local government chairmen, as this, as that, and you stand boldly to tell that you are scoring political points, to tell Nigerians that 90% of Nigerians in the north do not have access to social media. I am embarrassed. I am concerned. I am scared. I am really scared of that. Not just because we're having elections coming, but because we can even use that to measure how retrogressive the north has been. And yet, when we compare that against the backdrop of how many northerners we have had as president of this country, and we see how the situation like this in the north, it is scary. It is shameful. It's unacceptable. It is the reason why, one of the reasons why Atiku must not be supported to become president of Nigeria. Nigerians must wake up to this reality. Please, let's share this broadcast. It's very important. It's very important. Because like I said earlier, according to, what we say in Benin, that that's exactly what we are seeing with Atiku Abubakar. Atiku is a spoiler. Atiku is not ready. And we want a president, a leader who is ready from day one. A leader who has looked at the entire Nigerian landscape. They already know what to apply to which area to give maximum productivity to Nigeria. A leader whose rhetoric is, let us remove this country from a consumption nation to a production nation. That is the leader we are looking at right now. Atiku is still swelling. He's still, winding himself up around the ideology of coming to lead a country where we share and share and share and share. Not thinking of what we can do to replace the sharing formula to make it become a production formula. That is the language Peter Obi speaks. The language of converting this country from a sharing country into a productive country, into a production company. How can we, according to what has been revealed, I've gone to investigate and it's very true, in the 60s, under Tafawa Balewa, this country borrowed about $80 million to build Kainji Dam, and we were able to generate 1,000 megawatts of electricity. Today, we cannot generate 4,000. Every now and again, the national grid breaks down. People are in darkness. Companies cannot work. Employment is at the barest minimum. Right now, unemployment level in Nigeria is over 55%. Come on, what kind of country are we living in? And yet, the proper indices of progress, the proper indices of growth, nobody's addressing it. Atiku is not talking about it. He's talking about privatizing NNPC, privatizing this, privatizing that. That is what Atiku has come to do. And in privatizing them, he wants to sell them to himself. Nigerians, Atiku Abubakar is a time bomb. Atiku Abubakar is a time bomb. There is no way Nigerians can afford to say they are supporting Atiku Abubakar. Atiku Abubakar is a tragedy that will, put this nation in a place where we have never seen before. All he's aiming to come and do, as we can project into, based on what he has said, based on his own antecedents as vice president. This man is coming to sell this country himself, and that is it. That is it, nothing more. That's what he sees. I mean, I did watch one interview where he proudly said that he's going to make his friends rich. Now, is it a crime if his friends are rich? I will look for that video one day and play it so that we can listen. That is the purpose. There is no leader aspiring for the office of the president of a nation that will make such a bold claim shamelessly. I think that it's called political points. That all you are doing, is it a crime to make your friends rich? Of course, your friends are going to be rich. Atiku said that to Nigerians. So, the ideology of these people trying to take over the affairs of governance in Nigeria is not because they want to come and better the lot of the Nigerian people. He was asked in that interview with Arise Television to speak on the issue of what's his name, grazing, this open grazing or whatever it is, and all of that, what his own policy would be. He deflected the question because he didn't want to be offending anybody. Come on, Nigerians. Yesterday I made a broadcast and I said, at that critical moment, when you expect your leader to make the judgment, you should be able to sleep with your two eyes closed, knowing fully well that the president you have elected will make the right judgment. That anytime you wake up, you will be happy with the judgment. Atiku deflected the question because he didn't want to offend the Fulani herders or the owners of the cattle, and he didn't want to offend some of the leaders in the south. And he started saying, oh, the policy of open grazing, he will leave it for the state to determine according to their own states and all of that. I think that is shameful. A leader takes a position. The president of a country cannot leave a matter as controversial, as highly detrimental to the very fabric of our Nigerian society. You cannot leave it to the air. You can't. A leader must take a position. Whether people like it or not, that will be your position. At the central level, there must be a policy by the federal government to address the issue of open grazing and make it rest, once and for all. Because that matter has been contentious. It has created too much problem. At that critical moment, where I expected Atiku to make a judgment and speak to his judgment, whether Nigerians like it or not, he deflected it because he didn't want to be seen to be offending anybody. A young girl was stoned to death over an allegation of blasphemy against Prophet Muhammad. And the whole world was condemning that action by that mob. Atiku, on his own social media handle, condemned the action. Only God knows what happened. Few hours later, he brought down his condemnation. And when he was quizzed, he told Nigerians that that condemnation was done by his aide. He did not authorize it. That is why he brought it down. That is the kind of leader you will expect Atiku to be if he becomes president. And that is the risk that we cannot take. A leader who cannot take a position. A leader who presents himself as a bigot. Who wants to stand always in the middle way. Neither here nor there. We don't want such as leaders. These are the kind of people that have destroyed this country, Nigeria. We want people who are fair. People who take a position with the people of Nigeria. People whose judgment will be for the interest of the overall interest of the Nigerian people. Atiku will not make that judgment when the call comes. Atiku will not make that judgment. Believe me. Believe me. We have looked at his antecedents. We have listened to him a few times. We are going to hear him speak a lot more. But I'm just trying to analyze aspects of this interview he had with Arise Television, I think the day before yesterday, and to let Nigerians, to warn Nigerians, not just to let us know, that there's a huge risk in taking some chance with Atiku Abubakar. I can assure you, there's a huge risk. We cannot travel that line with Atiku Abubakar. Not at all. This guy is not ready. He's transfixed on certain ideas. He's fixated on them. From the word go, his own idea is to come and privatize everything privatizable, to buy all of these things to himself. This is a man who's a Nigerian who does not believe in anything Nigeria. He spends most of his life in Dubai. He has many of his properties in Dubai, bought with corrupt money stolen from the Nigerian state. It's another aching part of these corrupt politicians. They steal from the state. They don't invest what they steal from the state in the country, they take these things elsewhere and invest them elsewhere. Employ people elsewhere. Meanwhile, Nigerians are suffering. Today, we have over 50% unemployment. Over 50% unemployment. How can we survive? How can we survive? Nigerian people, I want to appeal to you once again. Those of us who are talking right now, I don't know. Of a truth, I can decide to shut my ears and my eyes against Nigeria. The Nigeria economy does not directly affect me. And for the rest of my life, it may never affect me. I mean, God knows what happens tomorrow. But what I'm trying to say is that, but I don't think like that. Because indirectly, overtly or covertly, I am impacted by everything that happens in that country. Only a few days ago, I sent 100,000 naira to somebody in Nigeria, somebody I care for, somebody, I look after, to say, use this one to buy food at least for some time. And the person was asking me how I want to make it spend down. At the time, I felt offended. But my wife came to me and said, me, I'm not offended. Because there's a reporter right now in Nigeria that a piece of fish cannot go for as much as 2,000, 3,000, even 4,000 to 5,000 naira. One piece of fish. And that 10,000 naira can hardly make a proper pot of soup. And so you can imagine what 100,000 naira is in Nigeria. And I sat down. I could not pick quarrel with the person who I sent the money. I could not call the person ungrateful. Rather, I wept over the application of bad policies, economic policies on this nation, Nigeria. Having 100,000 naira when I talk about so, and me I not go chop and finish for here for only God knows how long. For only God knows how long. We are talking of 100 and something pounds. You understand what I'm saying now? And me I know will spend that 100 pounds. I'm not going to spend and finish for only God knows how long. But in Nigeria, it is worthless. Why is it worthless? It's worthless because of the kind of leadership we've had, because of the kind of policies they have applied. So whether I like it or not, one way or the other, overtly or covertly, so long as I am a Nigerian, I have families there, I have friends. Beyond my families, many of us have other people outside of our families that for one way or the other we look after. I have children that we are supporting in school. A lot of them. So the thing is impacting. And so therefore, you can begin to see why some of us are really, really concerned about the fortunes of this country and the need why we need to tow a different direction. So Nigerians, I want to appeal very strongly. Please share this broadcast. It's probably one of the little things you can do to support this whole thing. Please, if you are listening to my voice, it does not matter where you are from. Because the hunger that beats us in Nigeria does not beat only the Hausas or the Fulanis. It beats us in the south as well. The Edos, the Ijos, the Yorubas, the Igbos. The rain that falls on all of us. The sun that shines on all of us. Hunger, according to one of the politicians, says doesn't know language. It doesn't know ethnicity. The only person that we see today on the field who has spoken the language that Nigerians want to hear, who has come out with a plan of preparedness to tackle the issues of the Nigerian state, to convert this country into a country of consumption, to a country that produces, is Peter Obi. In one of his broadcasts, he compared Jigawa State to Netherlands. Jigawa State with over 50,000, square miles or so on, square meters. I don't really know how the calculation is. Much larger than that of Netherlands. But yet, the Jigawa, with all the land that they have, cannot even feed a local government in Jigawa State. And yet, Netherlands is feeding the whole of Holland, and of course, expecting a lot more beyond. And so, these guys, Peter Obi and Yusuf Dati, they've already seen Nigeria, that we can have a different mainstay that can transform the country. And they have seen some of those ingredients of our national life that need to be oiled properly so that the environment will be created where for businesses to thrive. He went to Egypt. Egypt is just about 100 million population. Their own megawatts of electricity is over 50,000. With 30,000 of these 50,000, they did that less than, how many years ago. And yet we are still struggling to maintain 4,000 megawatts of electricity. And Obi has said that one of the strategic points that his government will focus on quickly is to ensure that we upgrade our power generation to the extent that it can power the nation steadily. And that itself can create a lot of employment. Another area where personally I am, in fact, if right now I eat Obi, I dream Obi, I sleep Obi, he has emphasized, and this has been true all along. Some of us, we've always known that. How come the leaders we've had, they never knew, they never concentrated on that, they never make any effort to improve on it? It still beats my imagination of very many of us. And the man has said that there is no way we can talk of capital infrastructure if we do not build the human infrastructure. The human infrastructure in massive investment into education, opportunities for Nigerian students. It is painful. We are having over 18 million out-of-school children. Many have never been. Many have never been. And it's so important to some of us. As I speak here, I'm not sounding immodest. I probably will show some records, as time goes on. In Edo State, under the Comrade Show, we have taken so many children out of school, brought them down to school, primary school children and all of that. We are paying their fees, making and monitoring them go to school and every other thing. Because we know that the foundation of every society, the growth of every society is how much we are able to empower the individuals. And yet we have a nation where millions are rotting away. We have a nation where even those who manage, after 6 years of ASU strike, who managed to even go through tertiary institutions are able to come out 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years. Many of them cannot get a job. Some end up, struggling to become Okada. And yet, massively, some of them just roll over and begin to carry out crimes. Nigerians, this is not a joking matter. We are not joking at all. The future of this country, has a lot to do with 2023 and the choice we make. And I like that, we appreciate the fact that, we all have a stake and a role to play in the affairs of this country. It is not for the politicians alone. We have a lot to determine. For Bola Ahmed Tinubu, just forget, nothing there. As per hope for this country, nothing there. For Atiku Abubakar, increasingly, we are seeing that, man, this guy has nothing to come and change in this Nigeria. All these people that have been part of this history of decadence, that have been part of this history of stagnation. As a matter of fact, some of them are part of the history of drawback. Man, we've got to find a way to say no. Capital rejection. The only man on the field is Peter Gregory Obi. I appeal to us, let's not make this mistake. It has nothing to do with where he's from. As a matter of fact, when I was looking at the credentials of Peter Obi and I was looking at Yusuf Dati, to be honest, this is a match that is divinely made, that this country cannot shy away from. On the issue that, Osun election, Ekiti election, I'm not sure Labour contested in that election. They didn't contest in that election. Osun election, Labour contested just to, make the noise a bit. Many of us knew that Labour was not going to go anywhere because the previous election, Adeleke was denied. So there was a lot of sympathy already for Adeleke. The mandate was stolen from Adeleke 4 years ago. So many of us already knew, if I was in Osun State, from Osun State, believe me, it's very likely that I would have been voting Adeleke. Because a lot of people already were ready to support Adeleke in Osun State. But let's not take that as a yardstick to compare 2023. Not at all. The person on the ticket in this election of 2023 is going to be Peter Obi and the Labour Party. I have people, some have written me, probably some people brokers that will showing their text, saying, I voted for Adeleke in Osun State. I am voting for Peter Obi in 2023 presidential elections. So, my people, let's not be bamboozled. All these guys, that in fact, this trend they are using to say social media is nothing, does not translate to votes. I beg us, let us disappoint them. Let us tell them that right now, social media is ruling the world. Social media determined the last 2 presidential windows of the American presidency. Social media is playing a role. Social media won election for Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State in 2020. Social media won it for current Anambra State Governor Soludo. So let's not joke. All of this, as a matter of fact, to let you know, oh, I have somebody, I don't want to define who the person is, an aged person who is coming to the UK. And the person asked me, say, man, this 2023 election, are you guys going to buy tickets for me to come back and vote? Or otherwise, make una just wait, make I vote first before I travel coming to for UK. I don't know whether I understand what they talk so. That's to tell you in Edo State how much people have invested their commitment into the process. The old, the young, the elderly, the everybody. Edo State is solely for Peter Obi. I know that several other states are. So I appeal to you, let's not waste our vote at all. Let's not waste it at all. Let's give this mandate to Peter Obi. Let us give it to somebody else who is not part of this clan of clowns. Let's give it to somebody who, at least, we can call the order. A man who is humble. A man who sees the goal and works towards the goal. He told us, he said one of the problems of Nigeria, which is very true, is that people want to go to, what's it called, I don't know, I can't put this, they want to go to, they tell Nigerians they are going to Abakaliki, and by the time they start the journey, you see them going to Jigawa. And he says that if we are saying we are going to Abakaliki, it doesn't matter how long we take to get there. Let us be on our way to Abakaliki. Every step we take is taking us closer to Abakaliki. And that is very true. Obi was asked that question. Whether he was going to deliver some of these dividends under 4 years. And the guy made that allusion and said, man, the problem with Nigeria has been that the leaders will come and say, we are taking you to Abakaliki. And by the time the vehicle starts moving, you see them going to Jigawa, you see them going to Kano. And the man said, if we say we are going to Abakaliki, let the world know that we are going to Abakaliki. Let us be moving to Abakaliki. Every day that breaks, there is a step taking us closer to Abakaliki. And at the end of the day, we will get to Abakaliki, provided we don't deviate. That allusion again was one that swept my feet off the ground. And I thank God for my commitment to the obedient movement. Every day, Obi makes me believe that we are not making a mistake. Every day, he makes me believe that we are not making a mistake. This is a movement that we must believe in. A movement that we must trust, a movement we must commit to. Please, if you are there, you are watching, you are not sharing this broadcast, and you are an obedient, supporter, my brother, review your support. Review your support. Not just this broadcast. Everything that's going to do with the obedient movement, please, let's be in the habit of sharing. Because even the Bible says that the word of God, okay, it said the gospel of Christ is power unto salvation. And that gospel of Christ, it's a faith cometh by hearing and hearing by the word of God. It's only when you preach faith that people will hear. And what we are preaching right now, we are preaching redemption. We are preaching resuscitation of the Nigerian state. And the gospel of the Obi movement is power unto economic liberation. Is power unto better security in this country. Is power unto proper restructuring of the Nigerian state, and its power unto the rebuilding of the mind of the Nigerian people, because our culture has been very much decadent, and we need something that will remind us that there's a new Nigeria that is born, led by Peter Gregory Obi. So, all the way they talk say, oh, you not get local government chairman, you not get this one, you not get that one, believe me, not be Nigeria with it. Make Obi president today, believe me, all the members of the National Assembly, most of them, not all of them, the next day they will all come to become Labour Party members. So, even the one they talk about, oh, PDP, APC, look, man, they are all human beings. There is nobody who's actually having any political ideology. You know, they. That's why you see them running from left to right, where it favors them. Obi becomes president today. Immediately, Labour Party will have 10 governors because they will decamp. Now, Nigeria. So right now, there is no ideology that people are holding firm to. You know, nobody is a pure Democrat in Nigeria. Probably when Obi becomes president, we start building that culture of proper democracy. I belong to a Labour Party movement in the UK. In the last election, I voted Conservative. I voted for Boris Johnson. But I am Labour Party. Many of us Labour voted for Boris Johnson. Our vote for Boris Johnson was a protest vote. We remain Labour in the UK. Many of us. But last election, we voted for Boris. We trusted Boris Johnson more to deliver on the promises made. So we protested. It was a protest vote that made us vote for Boris Johnson. Yeah, but we remain Labour. I'm not a Conservative in the UK. So we don't yet have those kind of people in Nigeria. But under this arrangement we are in right now, we are having it. I am seeing so many PDP members who tell me, comrade, I am a PDP member, but I am going to vote for Peter Obi for presidency. You that is watching me now, you are affiliated to APC, you are affiliated to PDP. Whom are you voting for? For a better Nigeria. My brother, check where you stand. We are not saying leave your party. We are not saying leave APC or leave PDP. If you are a die-hard member of APC or PDP, I know that there are none. There are not if you did, a few. But man, in this time, we need some change. We need some air of change. So be a PDP member who is committed to voting for Peter Obi. Because right now, it is not a question of party. The parties have not delivered anything. It is the individuals that we can count on to deliver. So I don't belong to any political party in Nigeria. So that is why in Edo State, I supported PDP, supported Governor Obaseki to become governor of Edo State. That now I'm supporting Peter Obi, Labour. Anyhow, whether Peter Obi is in Labour or is in what's it called, Gift or he's in YMW, he's in Grey Movement, anywhere Obi stand, that is where I will stand. And tomorrow, I will have the freedom to support any other individual with irrespective of political party that I'm convinced will deliver the job. And I think that is where many Nigerians stand. So for Osun State, many Osun people voted for Adeleke because they believed that Adeleke, who's a PDP member, will deliver the job. But these many people that voted for Adeleke, they are coming to vote for Obi. If you are not yet decided, please decide now. I've only come here to try to let you know that Atiku has failed this country before. He has proven to us again that he will fail us again. And therefore, please pitch your tent with the obedient movement. My name is Comrade Lantik Momosa Oriahi. I'm just trying to make common sense, like Ben More Bros. God bless you all. God bless Nigeria. And of course, may God bless the obedient movement. Most of all, may God bless Peter Obi. Bye for now. Please don't forget to share. Please, for those who sent us stars, thank you very, very much. May God bless you. At some point, it's going to count for something. Don't forget, campaign is going to start officially, I think in September or so. We are making plans. Before the end of August, by the grace of God, we are going to launch our own proper campaign, you know, to deliver Obi presidency come 2023. My people, cheers, man. God bless you all. For now, see you later. And bye for now. Cheers.